draws near. Yourself.
Boy, Cory Barlog is definitely a Atreus, isn't he? With his recent remarks about when God of War PS5 is coming out, because, like Cory keeps saying, boy, it's not called Ragnarok, never heard of it. So, yo, what is good? YouTube, Warstu here. If you are new around here, then go ahead and subscribe. Make sure to check out Instagram at Warstu. Twitter, WarstuG. So, the biggest conspiracy theory online is, when is God of War PS5 coming to the marketplace? Well, I played the trailer before this video started on purpose, so it said 2021. So you could say, yo, Cory, is it coming this year? So Cory randomly put a tweet out saying, I don't know who needs to hear this. Certainly not me, since I've never heard of it. But when it's done, trust, this is what's best for everyone. So this is like Kratos saying to Atreus, boy, when it's done. So it's pretty cool. So that's your answer. That is the confirmed release date for God of War PS5 or God of War Part 2 or God of War 2 if they're going to have it on the PS4. But if we are looking likely that it's going to be towards the end of the year, because we are going into March, but there's still 9 months this year done. And a lot of people that work at Santa Monica Studios are saying this is going to be the biggest year of their career ever. I'm still pushing for a Christmas release date for this. But Cory's like, boy, it's coming when it's coming. Now, in my opinion, a release date is not set in stone until it's got the actual date. You know, Ratchet & Clank said release window and then they changed it to June. Now it's locked in. In my opinion, the same with Horizon Zero Dawn 2, Forbidden West. That's not locked in until you get an actual 3-digit date, month, year, time. Until you get an actual date, a specific date, an actual date, it's not locked in. So Cory is saying, it's coming, boy, when it's ready, boy. Okay, boy? Yeah, this is the biggest question I get asked from the God of War community on this YouTube channel. When is it coming? It be coming when it's coming, guys. But if I was a guessing person, I would say Horizon Zero Dawn 2 between October and Christmas. And then God of War PS5. I really hope it's exclusive to PS5. At me if you want, at WarstuG on Twitter, at Warstu on Instagram. But I think we are at least 1 year away from God of War PS5. So we have just officially, exclusively revealed the release date for God of War PS5. Cory said it'd be done when it's done. We don't want a Cyberpunk 2077, do we? No, although Cyberpunk runs perfectly fine on my PC, we can even turn ray tracing on, 60 FPS. It holds the frame rate beautifully. We want it to come out with 60 FPS on the PS5, stunningly. God of War PS5, aka God of War 2, is one of the most highly anticipated games to come in the next generation, alongside games like Horizon Zero Dawn, etc. So Kratos is returning to our screen, but not only our video game screen, the movie screen, the cinema screen, as we broke the story yesterday and we did a video on the God of War movie. It is reported that Jason Momoa and Dave Bautista are in the running to play Kratos in that movie. So make sure to check out the link in the description and the card over the top right now to check out our breakdown of the potential Sony Pictures movie for God of War. So God of War 2, which is technically going to be God of War 5, is highly anticipated. Ragnarok is coming. The Norse mythology, it's all coming together. There have been so many subtle hints throughout the universe already. Even subtle hints throughout God of War PS4, which is absolutely epic. There has been hints from Santa Monica Studios narrative director. She has hinted, Kim Newman said the following on the Twitter. Feels good to be back in the suit at Sony Santa Monica. It's worth noticing and saying this was posted on January the 10th, 2020, and Santa Monica Studios is the studio behind God of War. So it's got to be a hint towards a role to do with God of War 2. So that is pretty cool. Also, there's been so many subtle hints. Ragnarok is coming. They brought out a special theme in collaboration with the 1-year anniversary of the game, which is interesting. On the boat, I'll overlay an image right now. It said Ragnarok is coming. Now, what is popping and what is good, YouTube? If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to never miss any of the pop culture based videos on this channel. We do Marvel, DC, video game, any like movie, TV shows, stuff like that. So make sure to subscribe if you want to. At the 100,000 subscriber mark, I will be giving away something pretty cool. All you gotta do is subscribe to the channel with notifications on. Drop as many comments as you can, as it helps the channel grow. So the creative director for most of the God of War games had the following to say, and it hinted that he isn't going to be directing the next God of War game, but it will be in great hands. So the creative director, Cory Barlog, had the following to say. First tweet of the new decade. Eric Williams, remember that name. This was also posted in January, the same month that Kim Newton tweeted that she was in the motion capture. So he had the following to say. Eric Williams, the guy who built Kratos in the first game. He was the combat designer, one of the handful of people in the entire game industry who I entrust implicitly. He could say, I'm gonna do something and I don't need to hear anymore. I trust him to do it because I know it'd be great. He was a big part of being able to do that, and a lot of people are speculating that he is the director of God of War PS5. So what has he worked on? X-Men New Dimension, God of War the original one 2005, God of War 2 2007, God of War Chains of Olympus, God of War 3 2010, Darksiders War Mastered Edition, and God of War. So he has worked, God of War PS4 obviously, he has worked with every single God of War game. So if Cory believes that the game's in good hands, it is in good hands. Cory himself has hinted that he will be working on something very different. So is he going to be part of the next God of War game? We don't know. But if Eric Williams has worked on every single game, God of War wise, then I don't think we've got anything to worry. So at the end of God of War PS4, Atreus had an almost dream, but it felt real. And then we seen Kratos see Thor face to face. So is it going to be Thor versus Kratos? I myself on this channel would prefer Kratos to go one-on-one against Odin. Although I'm not even joking, guys. There is a theory out there that Kratos himself is Odin, which literally makes no sense. But you know how, the pop culture world, there is crazy theories in comic books and in video games of what is coming next. So that is pretty cool. So these are all factual stories. So we are going to get Thor versus Kratos. It was teased for some reason. Now, at the start of the video, I did play a new trailer that wasn't actually a new trailer. It was just footage that they didn't have time to use for obviously the new mode that came out on God of War when they did New Game Plus, when you could play the game again with subtle differences. So that is pretty cool. So what is going to happen in the next God of War game? Now, we know that Odin is going to be absolutely infuriated by what Kratos and Atreus did to his sons, as he has multiple sons. So the biggest theory out there and the most obvious thing is the God of Thunder is coming after Kratos, as we've seen it in the post-credit scene, and it would make a lot of sense. So Ragnarok is essentially the doomsday in Norse mythology, where essentially everything went to shit, basically. So what I think is going to happen in the next God of War game is Kratos and his son are key to ending Ragnarok. The long winter is coming. Some theories have even predicted that Atreus' real name is Ragnarok, which is interesting. The little boy is the god killer himself, or is he? Every immortal in the land wants him dead, which explains Kratos' attempt to train him for a fight. Other arguments suggest that Kratos himself is actually the living embodiment of Ragnarok instead, which could make sense, seeing he has had the tendency to lead the path to destruction wherever he goes. Considering how major of an event Ragnarok is in Norse mythology, it's hard not to imagine the concept showing up in God of War in some capacity, which we've heard. Throughout God of War PS4, we've heard Ragnarok. They've teased it so much. Now, what we do know is the original creator and director of God of War wants to see the backstory of Kratos and his wife. Now, that would be pretty interesting. It doesn't have to be a flashback, but we could get to know more about the wife. Most people come into this franchise wouldn't have played the PS3 version, etc. They would have picked it up from the PlayStation 4 version, which is interesting because, like I said, it was kind of a soft reboot, in my opinion, to allow new players to get on board with this franchise. So, most recently, a job listing for Sony Santa Monica revealed that the studio was looking for a senior combat designer who must have knowledge of God of War 2018 and be able to speak in depth about the combat system, mechanics, and enemies, and a facial blend shape character artist in whom next-gen video platform experience is desirable. As we've mentioned earlier already, game director Cory has made it no secret of his plans to keep working on the God of War series, with 5 games planned out, and has suggested a future installment could explore Kratos meeting with his wife Freya, as we've just recently said, whose funeral is set in motion. The motion of change that made the God of War PS4. I don't know how we're going to tell this or when we're going to do this, but really, I want to tell the story of Kratos and Freya meeting, he said. Now, I think that's pretty cool. Like I said, this game has so much potential. So as we know, God of War, Kratos, his son Atreus finds out he is a god of war, essentially, and discovers that Freya, aka Mrs. Atreus, was actually a giant, Laufey, making Atreus half god and half giant. With another name, yes, Loki, not to be confused with the Marvel Cinematic version of Loki, the one from Norse mythology who was often portrayed as a trickster, sometimes with shape-shifting abilities, which is really close and very similar to the Loki in the MCU. God of War played pretty fast and loose with Norse mythology, but could offer some hints as to what is to come next. As we discussed at the start of the video, the post-credit scene, there's a second ending when you return home. Thor appears several years later. It's a brief tease ending after Kratos asks him what he wants. It could be that Thor wants revenge for the whole Kratos killing his sons thing. As we suggested earlier, maybe Odin could kind of want that as well, or he might want help to stop Ragnarok. Once the big reveal is out of the way, we are told Fimbulwinter is on its way. It's coming. If you skipped your Norse mythology class, shame on you. Then know that this is a 3-year great winter and precedes Ragnarok, then Norse apocalypse. Doomsday, basically. So it sounds pretty cool, guys. There is a lot of information out there to suggest that we are getting PlayStation 5's variation of God of War. There have been a lot of job listings for positions at Santa Monica Studios, as we suggested, that did say you must have knowledge of the God of War 2018 game, which implies they've at least been working on this game for at least a year and a half. So if we will predict here on this channel when is the next installment of God of War coming, we would have to say sometime in 2021 at very earliest. But one thing for sure is they have teased everything they already have. We know everything. The game developers looking for a senior combat designer, we know everything. Them implying that Eric Williams is going to be the new director. So many subtle hints. Back in April 2019, as we said before, there was a Ragnarok tease on the PS4 theme. So all the signs are hinting to Thor is coming. Odin could potentially come. And this
franchise is going absolutely nowhere. You could argue that they're going to kill the whole game off by having Ragnarok destroy the game, but it's so obvious that Atreus, or is he called Loki, and Atreus and Kratos are going to be the ones to save this universe. So like always, guys, if you could, please check out the God of War movie video we did yesterday, where we suggested that Kratos could be Jason Momoa. So like always, guys, please like, subscribe, and comment, and I will catch you in another video very soon. Catch ya later.